Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all the praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakodash. Yahweh is the true name of the Heavenly Father, who this world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai is the true name of the Heavenly Father's only begotten Son, who this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And Rakakodash is the true name of the Holy Spirit. Rakakodash meaning Spirit Holy in Paleo-Hebrew. And Bahashem is the phrase in the Paleo-Hebrew language. Bahashem meaning in the name. And of course the Paleo-Hebrew language. And as usual, I want to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders, especially of Great Millstone, who rule and teach the 100% truth well. And Shalom unto the hopeful elect. And Yahweh and Yahushai are the one and only true names that we are to be calling on in these perilous times in order to be eligible to receive salvation. Okay? And today, pretty much I titled this ICE brain chipping people, alright? Or it may not be ICE, but it has a massive correlation with it, man. Alright, when I found this video, alright, pretty much yesterday, alright, titled ICE may be forcibly implanting undocumented immigrants with Neuralink brain chips backup, okay? So, fair use, it's a long one, so I may not play the whole thing, but I'm going to speed it up, alright, and I'll also show the transcript so you can read along, alright, and then we'll go into a few precepts, and that'll be it, alright, so, alright, fair use.
So I came across some jarring information tonight, and I have to tell someone about it. So I've been keeping tabs on Neuralink a lot lately, Elon Musk's brain chip company, because with all of the 1930s style propaganda coming from the White House as of late, I just have this really bad feeling that Elon Musk might be our Dr. Joseph Mengele. And here's why. First of all, if you haven't already, please go follow me over on Substack, The Dre Dossier. It's free. The link is in my bio. This full video is going to be posted there along with a deeper dive and with all of my sources cited. So please go subscribe. So in July of 2025, this year, Elon Musk announced that Neuralink needs to go from 7 brain implants to about 1,000 implants by the end of 2026. Now, that's about 993 people over the course of, 15 months now, who would be willing to get an experimental brain surgery. That's like 60 some odd patients a month. And at the rate in which it took him to get 7 done, feels nearly impossible, if you ask me. Now, there are a couple things that have been bothering me, especially about these Neuralink sites, because they have approved through the FDA 2 sites in the United States. One, which is in Phoenix, Arizona, at the Barrow Neurological Institute, and the other, which is in Miami, Florida, which is at the University of Miami, which has a big neurological brain study program. Both of those cities also have really, really large ICE detention centers very close by. Now, yes, in Miami, they have Alligator Alcatraz, but they also have Chrome Detention Facility, which is like their super large one where a lot of the intake usually goes through. From December of 2024 to February of 2025, there have been 3 deaths once a month at Chrome Detention Facility, and all of them had to do with neurological symptoms like brain hemorrhages and seizures and vomiting and the like. Not unlike what a lot of the outcomes of the monkeys that Elon Musk used to operate on looked like. Just for the record. Now, there's a different kind of pattern that's equally concerning in Phoenix, Arizona. So Neuralink operates, like I said, at the Barrow Neurological Institute, and then right nearby there are major ICE detention facilities, Eloy and Florence.
Well, and the thing is, with Esau, man, alright, who is the perfect, if you want to test the Neuralink on humans, alright, who's the perfect, group of people to test on, alright, and it would be these immigrants, man, these so-called immigrants, albeit Esau's really the true legal immigrant, but, but these so-called illegal immigrants are pretty much the perfect group for Esau to test on, man, alright, because, first off, a lot of these Americans already do not care about these immigrants, man, so it's not like they're going to go looking for them, and second off, they may not even have their family, the immigrants, so-called immigrants, may not even have their family in the USA, man. So it's not like they can just go looking for them if they go missing, all right? And even then, if their family is also so-called illegal, man, and, they try to speak up, Esau can just deport them too, man, all right? And if if the immigrants themselves, man, they object, they object to taking the Neuralink, well, Esau can just deport them, man, all right? But, I'll continue on. Okay, because, pretty much the immigrants are pretty much the perfect test subject for Esau, man, all right? For his wicked device, that Neuralink, all right? Let's continue on, Okay.
Now, the amount of time spent in solitary confinement at these Arizona facilities went from 14 days in 2024, which had been a pattern since like 2021, to 38 days in 2025 as the average. Like, that's a 271% increase. 38 days is more than a month with no witnesses, no oversight, no documentation of what's happening. And all of this just so happens to be going on and increasing right when Neuralink is also trying to desperately scale up their operations so they can stay competitive with other countries. So those patterns have been bothering me for quite some time now, right? Especially with the alligator Alcatraz now like missing hundreds of detainees that have no record and like all of it. So I decided to dig a little deeper tonight and I went to usaspending.gov, which is this website where you can search for all of the federal contracts that are made public. So you can search for anything related to, I don't know, the Department of Defense and neurosurgery, for instance. And that's when I noticed something kind of weird happening because Honolulu kept coming up a lot with DoD contracts and neurological surgery, like over and over and over again. And I'm thinking to myself, why Honolulu? Like, what's going on in Honolulu? I mean, all of them were from the Department of Defense, and they were all for these different neurological services, neurological procedures, neurological surgery practices, like, and they were all ramping up starting in 2025. And the company that was getting all of these contracts was called NIR LLC, and the work was being performed out of Triple Army Medical Center, which is this really big military hospital in Honolulu. I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, well, maybe this is just normal medical family military care. But when I went to look up NIR LLC to see if I could learn more about them, there was nothing about them online. There's no company website, there's no physician names, nothing on them. I mean, for a medical contractor who's doing so many neurological surgery procedures with federal money, not having so much as a website feels odd. But then, at the very bottom of the Google search, I saw a link to a map quest that said NIR, and it had like a little point of where it was. So I clicked the link, and it showed NIR LLC at the location of 888 South King Street in Honolulu. Now, if you were to look up NIR LLC on any other map, nothing comes up. But when you type in 888 South King Street, Honolulu, something does come up, and that something is Straub Medical Center, which is one of Hawaii's largest civilian hospitals that has a major neurology and neurosurgery department. So now I'm really confused, right? Because why is their billing address a commercial office building, but then they're actually operating out of a civilian hospital with a huge neurosurgery center, but then the Department of Defense is paying them for services at a military hospital all on the same island? Like, this feels like a paper trail that's being obfuscated on purpose a little bit. I'm thinking, well, maybe does Neuralink operate out of Honolulu, Hawaii? And I just didn't know about it. And I look it up, and no, Hawaii isn't listed on the official trial site. It's just Miami, Florida, and Phoenix, Arizona, and then Toronto, Canada. I'm thinking to myself, well, just because the FDA doesn't know about it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily happening. So I decided to go on LinkedIn to see if I can find anybody who has Neuralink listed as their current employer and also lives in Honolulu, Hawaii. And that's when I find two people. First one is a clinical project manager who works at Neuralink and lives in Honolulu, Hawaii. And it looks like she's been with Neuralink for a few years now. And I looked at her job responsibilities, and it said trial site management, implementation of clinical trials, management and oversight of external vendors, negotiating and building relationships with organizations. She manages trial sites and external vendors, but Hawaii isn't an official Neuralink trial site. So what you doing, sis? The other person I found was this guy who runs something called Hang 10 Capital, and he lives in Honolulu, Hawaii. And it's a private equity firm that also runs out of Honolulu, Hawaii. And they invest in things like fintech and food startups, but I looked at their portfolio and saw Neuralink listed. Right, so we have some smoking guns in Honolulu. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, so if the thesis here is that something sus is going on with Neuralink and the operation facilities being close to ICE detention centers, does this fit that thesis? Like, is there an ICE detention facility near these, medical facilities in Honolulu? And oh boy, did I regret asking that question. Apparently, in February of 2025, ICE had signed an agreement to start housing detainees at FDC Honolulu. That's a 992-bed detention center facility.
All right, 992. All right, and what he wanted? Let's see. Let's go back to the start. All right, yeah, 6 minutes 34. Okay, Elon Musk announced that Neuralink needs to go from 7 brain implants to about 1,000 by the end of 2026. Now that's about 993 people, and keep in mind this was posted November 5th. All right, in 2025. All right, last year. Okay. So, and 992 is only one off, man. All right. All right, one off from 993. All right, and Google AI says as of late 2025. All right, because we are in 2026 right now, but just going back. All right, approximately 12 people worldwide had received Neuralink brain implants, man. All right, so that number is very close to the pretty much exact number required for that 1,000, man. All right, but let's keep on continuing, man. All right.
DC Honolulu. That's a 992-bed detention center facility. Like, I I didn't know about. Did anybody else know about this? And then I found an article from July 2025 that was talking about this and was saying that detainees were being transferred to Hawaii from Florida and Arizona detention facilities, the exact two states where Neuralink trials had started. And so I looked at the distance between FDC Honolulu and Straub Medical Center, where NIR LLC actually operates from, apparently, and it's 8 miles, a quick 15-minute drive. And to make things worse, at the same time in February of 2025, when that agreement was being signed between ICE and Honolulu, Elon Musk's Doge was still in the White House, you remember that? And they had apparently, while they were there, had fired 20 FDA employees that month in February. And so I looked up which department they were from, and they were from none other than the Office of Neurological and Physical Medicine Devices. Yeah, the exact office that oversees Neuralink's clinical trials. Anyone else feeling a little bit queasy, or is that just me? And so I'm looking into this further, and I found that when detainees are transferred to Hawaii, they're apparently often going through 5 to 7 different facilities first. Like one detainee was arrested in Florida in May and then went through 2 other facilities, then to Louisiana, then Arizona, and then some California facilities, and then landed in Hawaii. He wasn't even served with a charging document until June. That's a month of completely unaccounted time. Just think about it. Not only is there minimal oversight during that month, but then by the time that they get to Hawaii, they're 4,500 miles away from anyone. That's complete isolation. And then if they complain after a procedure is over, they can just be deported and nobody would even know about it.
Yeah, all right, because ICE has these people, it takes these people, man. All right, these so-called illegal immigrants, and again, as I've said before, it's not like them. And of course, you got a lot of people that do care about them. All right, but you get what I'm saying, man. You got a decent sized portion of the American population that really doesn't care about any illegal immigrants, man. On what happens to them, man. Okay, that absolutely hates them. Okay, but again. The perfect test subjects would be these illegal immigrants, man. All right, it's less likely that they have family, all right, in America, or if they do, well, what happens if the family speaks up? You're illegal, you get deported. All right, versus someone in prison, man. They likely still have someone, in the in America, man. All right, so they may be in more contact, man. So it would likely be easier for them to notice if they were gone. But an illegal immigrant, man, so-called, of course. Who's gonna realize they're gone? Okay, and even then, even if they do know, how many of these Americans care? And if they complain, they can just be deported, man. All right, if something goes wrong, well, yeah, they can always just be deported back to, well, I don't know, wherever Esau sends them. Okay, All right.
That's exactly what happened at Irwin County Detention Center in Georgia, where women.
If these people die. If these people die from the test, man, well, they're still illegal, man. Pretty much, who's gonna know? All right. So, Esau's being real crafty, man.
And were reported as having unauthorized gynecological procedures, and then were deported within days if they complained. Oh, and I forgot. They can just be deported and nobody would even know about it. That's exactly what happened at Irwin County Detention Center in Georgia, where women were reported as having unauthorized gynecological procedures and then were deported within days if they complained. Oh, and I forgot to mention that in April of 2025, acting ICE Director Todd Lyons had given a presentation at the Border Security Expo in Phoenix, and he had specifically stated that they had been working with Elon Musk's Doge frequently. That just doesn't make me feel any better either. So look, either I'm seeing patterns that just aren't there, or we're watching something horrifying happen in real time. These are people who can't speak out, who can't sue, who can't even call their families.
See?
People have moved through multiple facilities with no documentation and ended up moving 4,500 miles away from anybody who could do anything to help them. And if they wake up one day with scars that they don't remember getting, who's going to believe them? I need people talking about this, journalists who are in positions of power.
All right. So you saw that, and Lord willing, I'll link the video. All right, when I finish this. All right, but pretty much let's get to the precepts, man. All right, because again, Esau, so pretty much ICE is brain chipping, these migrants, man. All right, but in these detention centers, man. All right, but the precepts I mainly got is really for us, man. Okay. That this is just this is info. All right, but the precepts I got for this lesson is mainly for us, man, because we are going to be in somewhat of a similar situation. All right, because again, some of us may be taken away. All right, per se. All right, taken and put into prison, man. Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So Esau is getting ready to come down with great wrath, man. And along with that, Esau is going to be doing this. All right, because with that great wrath, man, all right, you're gonna have the elect being protected, but at the same time, the Lord, for testing purposes, all right, the Lord is going to allow some of His elect to so-called be taken, all right, and put into these concentration camps, detention centers, prisons. Well, whatever, man, whatever Esau got, pretty much these concentration camps, man. All right, but and there'll also be, you bet that they're gonna be offering the chip there too, man. Okay, you know. 2 out of 16 and 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. All right. And they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. And that thing is the mark of the beast, which is that microchip implant, man. All right. And you can see that Esau is testing it, man, in secret, man. All right. On these illegal immigrants, man, because who's going to know who's going to care, man. All right. All right. Because, yeah, a lot of Americans do care, but there's also a large group that really don't care. Okay. All right, then these illegal immigrants, so-called illegal immigrants, have already been painted by Esau Edom as the so-called enemies, man, as the so-called real bad guys. Oh yeah, they're real bad. They're illegal. They're taking our money. They're taking our jobs. All right. Meanwhile, you got Esau. You got pretty much a lot of these farmers relying on them. All right, for their fruits, man. Okay. All right. But they're bad. We need to get rid of them, man. Esau has already painted that label on them, man. All right, so that's gonna make people care for them even less, man. Okay, not to mention, they're undocumented, man. They're undocumented. All right, so it's not like people can just necessarily follow them everywhere. All right, and search for them everywhere. Okay, so Esau via ICE can just take them, and it's not like, and pretty much no one will bat an eye, man. All right, and do whatever the hell he does with them, man, with that Neuralink, man. Okay. 216 and 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols, man. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And that's really all Israelites. All Israelites have at least some form of fear of the Lord in their spirit somewhere. Okay, and the elect have the most of it. Of course. All right, the elect have the most of it. All right, but even these the 2/3, man, even the most wicked nigga, somewhere in the spirit there is that fear of the Lord somewhere, man. All right, now necessarily that doesn't mean they're gonna walk by the fear of the Lord, because clearly you can see the majority of our people do not do that, but it's still in there somewhere, man. All right, these people, they know killing is wrong, they know murdering is wrong, this and that is wrong. All right, so it's in there somewhere. So it's in there, okay. So it's talking about the Israelites. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of the houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire, man. All right, because at this time is going to be the time of testing as trying, man. All right, the furnace of affliction is going to be turned up to max temperature, and a part of that furnace of affliction is that hour of temptation, man. All right, that's the final burn. That's the final burn to fully purify the elect, man. All right, that's the final burn. Okay, I think I'm gonna skip Psalm 71 and 4 for now. All right, but that's a final. Yeah, I just said it. I'm gonna say it again. Why not? But that's the final burn to fully purify the elect, man. Okay, the elect are going to be tried as gold in the fire, and being offered that mark of the beast, man. All right, is going to be one of those many tests, man. All right, because the MOTB is coming soon. All right, Esau's testing it. All right, and hey, it's gonna come, and it's gonna be mandated. Revelation 13 and 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Okay, but without this mark of the beast, man, you're not going to be able to buy or sell or do anything, man. Okay, and the elect are going to be put to the test, man. That your trust in the Lord is going to be put to the test at that time. Revelation 2 and 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. The devil is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. But let's just go into the word devil. Diabolos, prone to slander, slanderous, accusing falsely, a calumniator, false accuser, slanderer, and he's known as the accuser of our brethren. Okay, Esau is known as the accuser of our brethren. Metaphor applied to a man who, by opposing the cause of the Most High, may be said to act the part of the devil or to side with him. Okay. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. All right, and Esau owns all the prisons anyways. That he may be tried, and ye shall, yeah, that he may be tried. All right, because at the same time, it's all a trial. Some of the elect may not even be cast into prison, man. The Lord is going to have, you know, the elect be protected in general, but some of the elect may not even be caught at all, man. Okay, but some others are going to be cast into prison for their trial, man. AKA the Lord trying them, not Esau. All right, I'm not talking about Esau trying them. I'm talking about the Lord trying them, man. The Lord purifying them in that furnace of affliction. Okay, that you may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. It can be any amount. It doesn't have to be 10 days. All right, so a lot of some of the elect may be thrown into these detention centers, man. All right, and even then, the Lord can still deliver you out of those detention centers, without having to go through, the whole process of, Esau trying you of taking the guillotine. All right, yeah, that was better. All right, because the whole point of being cast into prison is being tried. All right, and you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So that's what the elect are supposed to do. They're supposed to be faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life, man. All right, and this is obviously Yahushua speaking, man. Okay, because again, they're getting ready to pretty much do this on a much wider scale, man. All right, put these people in these detention centers, man. All right, especially, they're going to be searching for the prophets, man, because that persecution is getting ready to come, man. All right, heavy. Okay, so they're going to be, they're going to be casting these people into detention centers, man. All right, and probably going to be offering stuff like, hey, if you take this implant, man, all right, we'll get you out. All right, you'll get out immediately. You won't have to wait this and that. All right, or they don't even have to do that. They can just be, if you don't get this implant, we're gonna cut your head off, man. Okay, because that's gonna happen. All right, but Sirach 4:28. Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. Okay, but again, ICE may be forcibly implanting undocumented brain chips. All right, undocumented immigrants with Neuralink brain chips, man. All right. Salakia. All right, but strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. Okay, because again, we're going to be pretty much placed in a similar situation from as these undocumented immigrants with Salakia. We're going to be put in a similar situation as these undocumented immigrants, man. All right, and again, it's likely forcibly. All right, it's likely forcibly, or maybe they may have a choice. All right, I'm not sure what's necessarily going on. With that, but again, it's most likely forcibly, because again, who wants a freaking Neuralink in their head, man? All right, because when that MOTB comes, man, most people don't want a microchip implant inside of them. All right, but of course, if you add a little pressure, a lot of these people are gonna break, man. All right, so it doesn't take much force to break through a lot of these people's bubble. All right, but for the elect, that bubble's never gonna break. All right. But again, by default, a majority of the people don't want a freaking microchip implant in them. All right, it's only when it's going to be made mandatory, and that's when the pressure is going to start, man. Okay. But again, let's get Sirach 4. Actually, no, Sirach 4:28. All right. Okay, because again, we're going to be placed in pretty much a similar situation, man. All right, we're gonna have a choice. You either take the MOTB or you die. All right. Okay. And Esau's going to try to use his threat tactics, this and that, or torture, whatever. But we're not supposed to fear death, man. Okay, because again, it's important to understand death. The Bible, the true understanding of the Bible, gives us the understanding of death, man. Death is really just rest. Essentially, you die, your body dies. Your body is just dirt. Your body is a house, anyways. Your body is really just a house. That's what it is. Okay. Your body is a house for your spirit, but your spirit, which is really you, all right, you are your spirit. That's who you really are, okay. But your spirit goes up to the Lord, all right, and rests in the spirit realm, and of course you get your judgment, but then you wait a while, and then you come back down when the Lord declares it, okay. And Sirach 4:28, strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee, okay. So as long as the elect strive, as long as we strive for the truth unto death, the Lord shall fight for us, man, okay. So no matter what, man, all right, we gotta, push, push forward, all right, no matter what, all right, even unto death, okay. Because the Lord is going to protect his elect. The Lord is going to protect those who fight unto death, man. He's going to deliver those that fight unto death. Revelation 3:10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth, man. Okay? Because these undocumented immigrants, they weren't kept from the hour of temptation, albeit it didn't even start yet. But, they already received that microchip implant, man. All right? So if they haven't died, then, they're not going to get salvation, okay? But again, for the elect, the Lord is going to keep them from the hour of temptation, man, which is really when the mark of the beast is made mandatory across all the world, all right? All the world, okay? This is Yahweh Shai speaking, man, okay? And we want the Lord to, pretty much deliver us, okay? So we got to be praying for that too, all right? Pray, counted worthy. Here we go. Luke 21:36. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. Okay? So now I think I'm going to get Psalms 71:4. Okay? Deliver me, O my power, out of the hand of the wicked, out of the hand of the unrighteous and cruel man. Okay? We want that, man. We want to be delivered out of Esau's hand, man. All right, because again, he's getting ready to come down with great wrath, and we want to be delivered out of his hand, man. We don't want to be given into his hand, okay? But even to those that are so-called, that seem like they're delivered into Esau's hand, they're the elect are always going to be in the Lord's hand, man. All right, I think the Bible says, let's read verse 5. For thou art my hope, O Lord power, thou art my trust from my youth. Okay, the Lord is our hope. We hope that he is going to deliver us and keep us safe during that hour of temptation. But man, I forgot. Salakia. Deliver me, O my power, out of the hand of the wicked, out of the hand of the unrighteous and cruel man. All right, we want to be delivered from that. Man, Salakia. Man, I had a precept, but I forgot it. That's unfortunate. All right, Lord willing, it comes back. But all right, now let's get Romans 11:4. Okay. Well saith the answer of the Most High unto him, I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. All right, so again, the Lord has already reserved. All right, let's go into that word reserved. All right, and this is talking about the elect, reserved to leave behind, to depart from, leave to be left, to leave to oneself a person or thing by ceasing to care for it, to abandon, leave it in the lurch. All right. Leave, reserve. Okay, but what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I've reserved to myself. All right, so left behind to the Lord, to himself. Okay, 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. All right, so the elect, and this is talking about the elect. 7,000 meaning completion. All right, so it's just really the complete number, however many that is. All right, but the Lord is going to. But the Lord already has it so that his elect win. All right, the Lord has it so that his elect are going to win and not bow the knee to the image of Baal, man. All right, okay, that they're not gonna bow to Esau, Edom, man. All right, that they're not gonna worship the beast, neither his image, neither his system. Okay, all right, neither take that mark. All right, the Lord already ordained that, man. All right. Now let's get Revelation 20:4. All right, and so this wasn't really the most on topic, man. All right, Lord willing, I'm going to change the title into something that's more fitting for what the lesson really is about. All right, but that's really just some sort of thing to get it out there. All right, Revelation 20:4. And I saw thrones, and they saw it, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahweh Shai, and for the word of the Most High, in which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with a Mashiach 1,000 years. Okay, so again, we are going, the elect are going to be persecuted for Yahweh Shai, man. All right, for his testimony and for following him. All right, for not doing things that he wouldn't. Okay, so the elect are going to be persecuted. Well, but some of the elect may be beheaded. All right, for not taking that mark of the beast. But at the same time, man, the Bible says, be thou faithful unto death. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. All right, because again, the Bible said, no, not the Bible, but you got J.D. Vance saying that, ICE is going to start going door to door, man. All right, so, yeah, so again, some of the elect, well, the Lord is going to protect his elect regardless, man. But eventually, some of the elect, as I've said before, are going to be cast into prison. But it's really for your trial, man. That's it. It's only for the trial. And as long as they stay faithful unto death, literally, all right, if they get beheaded, man, the Bible said the dead and the Mashiach shall rise first, man. All right, so really, it's just, really, it's just a win-win either way. All right. So just stay faithful unto death, man. All right. And they lived and reigned with a Mashiach 1,000 years. So those that were beheaded for, Yahweh Shai's sake, they lived and reigned with a Mashiach 1,000 years. Okay. But with that, Lord willing, that was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakodash. Shalom wa abad babal. Shalom.